the faint metallic clink of a silver sixpence hidden somewhere inside the Christmas pudding, the sharp, bitter chemical taste of glue on your tongue as you licked paper chains together, and that unmistakable oily smell of a paraffin heater struggling bravely against the winter cold. If even one of those sensations pulls you straight back to a British Christmas morning in the 1960s, then you already understand this isn't just memory. It's something deeper, something physical, something that lives quietly in the body long after the years have passed. Because growing up in the United Kingdom during the 1960s meant Christmas arrived differently. Before plastic wrapped everything in shine and waste, before central heating warmed every corner of the house, before screens replaced books and shared moments, this was a Christmas you could touch, taste, and smell. And if you lived it, these memories belonged to you forever. The silver sixpence in the Christmas pudding wasn't just a coin. It was a gamble and a test of patience. The pudding arrived heavy and dark, soaked in brandy and set alight, blue flames flickering gently in a dim living room while families leaned forward in their chairs. Everyone knew that somewhere inside that dense, steaming mass lay a promise of luck and the risk of a cracked tooth. Children chewed slowly and carefully, adults pretending not to care while watching just as closely until someone bit down on metal. The room would fill with laughter and a small, triumphant shout, that sticky, warm sixpence held up like treasure. It was priceless, not for what it could buy, but for what it meant, that for one night at least, you had been chosen. Paper chains took time, patience, and a strong stomach. Because before Christmas could look festive, it had to taste unpleasant. Strip after strip was licked and looped, the glue bitter and chemical. Tongues would grow numb, fingers sticky, jaws aching, but you carried on because those chains meant Christmas was becoming real. Whether they came from Woolworth's packs or were cut from old newspapers and stuck together with a flour paste that smelled faintly yeasty, it didn't matter. Slowly, the living room transformed as red loops joined green and green joined yellow, crisscrossing the ceiling until you could step back and feel proud, knowing you had built Christmas with your own hands. The smell of the paraffin heater never truly leaves you. Sharp and oily, it clung to curtains and furniture, glowing orange behind its metal grill in the corner of a cold living room. Bedrooms weren't heated, and neither were bathrooms. Christmas morning meant crouching beside that heater in your pajamas, its hands stretched toward the warmth while your breath fogged the air. You'd watch as your dad adjusted the wick and struck a match, black smoke rising briefly before the flame settled into a steady blue glow. That glow said you'd get through another winter day, even as mothers worried about it tipping over and teachers warned vaguely about dangers no one fully understood. It was a small, glowing beacon against the biting cold. Then came the big freeze of 1962 and 1963. Snow fell on Boxing Day and refused to leave. Milk bottles froze solid on doorsteps, garden fences were buried under drifts, and roads became impassable. While adults struggled for cold and warmth, children found paradise. Schools closed, sledges flew down icy streets, and rivers and ponds froze strong enough to walk on. Snowmen grew taller than adults, and entire days were spent outside, soaked through and grinning, till numb fingers forced a reluctant return indoors. Despite burst pipes and shortages, families still gathered at Christmas. The fire crackled, the paraffin heater glowed, and the world outside was held at bay for a few precious hours of warmth and togetherness. It was a time of hardship, but for a child, it was magic. Christmas morning brought annuals wrapped in bright paper, heavy hardback books smelling of fresh ink, the Beano, the Dandy, Punty. These were treasures that promised days of quiet reading by the fire. You'd trace your fingers over the glossy covers before diving into comic strips, jokes, and puzzles. These books were read cover to cover and then read again, kept and treasured for years. till their cracked spines and faded pages could carry the smell of childhood back in an instant. They were a portal to another world, right there in your hands. Selection boxes were real boxes then, sturdy cardboard shaped like stockings or chimneys, filled with full-size chocolate bars you recognized. The satisfying weight in your hands felt like winning a prize. There were games printed on the back, and the wrappers slowly piled up on the carpet. Even when the chocolate was gone, the box stayed. It was repurposed and reused for holding crayons or secret treasures, because nothing was wasted. It wasn't just sweets, it was an experience. After Doctor Who arrived, every boy wanted a Dalek. Those screeching, metallic creatures that made children hide behind sofas became the must-have toy. Every girl wanted Cindy, Britain's girl-next-door doll with her bob haircut and endless outfits. These toys weren't just presents. They were obsessions you hoped and prayed would be waiting under the tree. If you got one, you were the envy of the entire street. They were more than just plastic. They were a status symbol, a piece of a shared cultural moment. Television wasn't background noise in the 1960s. It was an event. Families gathered around a single black and white screen to watch. Doctor Who on Saturday evenings, Thunderbirds on Sunday afternoons. At Christmas, it felt as though the whole country watched together, sharing the same stories in cold living rooms, lit only by a single coal fire in the soft, flickering glow of the screen. It was a communal experience, a bond shared across millions of homes. Christmas clothes arrived stiff and scratchy. Jumpers and polished shoes you were told to keep nice. You'd sit carefully, comfortably aware that one stain could ruin everything. Nothing was easily replaced, and everything mattered. This wasn't about being fashionable. It was about respect for the effort and money that had gone into buying them. A lesson in appreciating what you had, okay? And yet, despite the cold, the effort, and the small dangers that came with everyday life, Christmas in the 1960s felt earned. You didn't need central heating, plastic packaging, or endless choice. You had patience, resilience, and togetherness. These were moments built slowly and with care. Christmases that were quieter, colder, and absolutely real. And if you remember them, then you know just how deeply they mattered. Thank you for joining me on this journey back in time. If these memories resonated with you, let us know in the comments what your favorite part of a 1960s Christmas was. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more trips down memory lane. See you next time.